Hey, everybody. Welcome to Living Your Best Life. I'm Ann Dennish, and I'm joined again this week by my good friend, Jonathan Les. Jonathan, welcome.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Not bad for an old fat guy.
Oh, my goodness. Now it's a positive show. We like to keep everything positive here. Jamie PK is off with her husband, Shiloh Harris, this week, out there on an adventure and making a difference in the lives of others. And she'll be back next week to tell us a little bit about that. So I'm checking in with everybody. How's everybody doing? Feel free to call in with questions, comments, suggestions, or just let us know how you're feeling. Even if you're watching us live through Facebook, send us a little message. Where Jonathan here keeps track of everybody watching.
I try.
So how are you, Jonathan? How's your week been since last week?
It's been an interesting week. Um, we everybody. I don't know if everybody knows, but we talk during the week, and we all have our row to hoe, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And I guess at the end of the day or the end of the week, when you look back on what you've experienced, and there's been a lot of I didn't want to go this way, but a lot of negativity. And I guess the trick is not to prevent the negativity and get caught up in it, and prevent you from living your best life. And I was reminded of a few things this week.
And we're going to talk about a lot of that today.
That made me think that you start to tip the scales in your life against against yourself. You don't want to, some of the things we talked about are when does selfless turn into self-sacrifice, and when do you cannibalize your living your best life, and how do you deal with adversity? We're not therapists.
Nope.
We don't have a fancy diploma or an education. But all we started doing was talking about our own experiences.
Well, it's like last week's show was about the negativity and the word but, behold the underlying truth, blame and BS, and how the negative impact it can have on your relationship with your significant other, your children, your family, your friends. And, that's why we wanted to kind of remind everybody of how negative they are and kind of go into this week, because Jonathan and I were talking a lot in the last couple of days about everybody seems to be going through something. Like everybody I've spoken to, people on social media, and you were saying last night that the posts seem very positive, yet I said they're all positive things about a negative experience they're going through.
I almost think it's a bandwagon that people jump on, because it's either I don't know. I don't want to be too critical of it, but I see a lot of antidotes for negativity, and I came away at the end of the day and the end of the week thinking to myself, well, what are the things that help you stay positive through negativity? I've always said that you can have a lot of good excuses for your lot in life, and nobody would blame you if you just laid down and died. But then you just become another sad story that people will soon forget, or you become generic. Or you can overcome these things and become an inspiration to other people. And if you're not living your best life, and you're not, you're stuck in the mud of negativity, well, you're no longer an inspiration. You're just a repeater of negativity and
Yeah. And
bad stories.
that's not, we say living your best life. It's not really living a great life. You're not living your life purpose. You're not, everyone's given a gift, I believe, in this life. You're not pursuing your gift or putting your gift out in there into the world. And, I go back to some of the things I've written this week because our good friend from high school, Rich McGill, had asked me, don't you ever ask yourself, how did you get here? And I said, yeah, a series of unfortunate events. And I wrote a story about it because I'm thinking it's how you look at it. This is the mindset I try to tell everybody. It's how you look at it. My unfortunate events, I turned around into fortunate events because they taught me something about myself, took me to a different place in my life, which was a better place in my life. So that's what I talk about a lot with everybody. Try to put the positive spin on what you're going through. Like I was saying to Jonathan, everybody I've seemed to talk to, everybody's anxiety is kicking up. People can't make decisions. They don't know how they're feeling. They don't know what the next move is. I've been going through that myself on some days. And I said to my friend the other day, okay, it's one day. You don't know how you feel. So what? You don't know what the right decision is. So what? Tomorrow you might know. And if you don't know, there's a reason you don't know yet. You'll know in a couple more days or in a week or 2 weeks. I think everybody's just taking these, what should be really little things, and they're turning into massive things. And it just seems to be everywhere in the last couple weeks. And I know I have to stop myself some days and say, all right, take a breath and really look at life for what it is. Look at what's going on. And everything begins with you. It begins with me. And I have to look at myself first and, see why I'm feeling that way. What's making me feel that way? Is there accountability for me to be taking? Are there decisions that need to be made? It's all part of that. And I think I struggle because I'm always the optimist in every situation I find myself in, even if it's not a really good situation. I'm an optimist. I'd like to believe the best outcome will come out of everything, that people can all change for the better. Although there's a piece of me that's a realist. Everybody can change, but they have to want that change. Nobody can change them at all.
So you got to be careful, or I have to be careful not to contradict myself. So people will change. Well, we just got done saying or talking about, or we've talked about it for weeks, that change starts with you. So why are you waiting for other people to change? You're getting caught, or I get caught in a trap.
And it's a cycle. It's a cycle that you get wrapped up in.
And you have to break this cycle. Otherwise, you're not living your best life, and you're succumbing and you're falling into a trap of analyzation, paralyzation. So that just really simply means that you get so caught up looking for the right answer that you don't make any decisions. You don't move forward. It's okay to take a step back and reflect. But reflections change with the light rapidly.
True.
So you need to react or respond quickly because time is precious. So it's okay to not know the answer right away and not have it pop into your head, even though you probably do know the answer. You're just avoiding the answer.
And the issue. Which is the worst thing. And, I can tell you from personal experience, the longer you ignore that elephant in the room, the longer you ignore the issue, the harder it is to repair. It just, because it keeps eating away and eating away, no matter what situation you're in. Even if you're in a dead-end job and you can't stand it and you don't look for another job, or you just sit there and you're in misery every day, you're not facing the issue that that's not the job for you, or that you want to find another job. And that's what happens. It happens in relationships. It happens with your children. Sometimes you don't say what you need to say. And I'm not a big believer. I might be the 24-hour girl, and that is just to process something so I know better able what had happened, why it happened, where was my part in it, and talk about it 24 hours later. And I think that's what happens. The longer you let it go, it's just, I don't think it's a good idea. I would rather talk about something, and it's not always a quick fix, but you have to work together, or work with the person, work with the job, work wherever it is. It's okay to live your best life and be happy. and to do what's right for you, sometimes we have a little difficulty with that.
Rich says nothing can improve until you respond. Um,
That's perfect, Rich. Thank you.
and
Wow, that's very true.
he he's right, because otherwise nothing happens.
No, there's no resolution. There's nothing.
When there's and getting caught in the trap, and when you've been in, or you've been down the road where you you've been in a tit for tat relationship, um, or you've been involved in tit for tat, meaning we forget about the original debate and the fine art of conversation and the rules of engagement.
Yeah, and it
And
becomes a snowball effect of just the list comes out, the this comes out, the blame comes out.
well, the hurt comes out, and you respond in kind when people put you on the defensive, and it takes a step back and a thought before you respond.
And see, what you're describing are all negative things. Feeling hurt, pain, fear, insecurity, all negative things that can possibly, be projected onto somebody else. And these are the things we have to address and not react out of. It's best never to react or even respond. Maybe react out of negative emotions.
Well, react. We know we don't want to react. We want to be
No, you don't
responsive,
wanna
not
react.
reactive.
And the response is just, we've talked about this, I think, every show. The response, no matter who it is allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to say what's in your heart, on your mind, in a kind and respectful way. And to me, you would think if you act that way, if you respond that way, it's always going to be in your best interest. Sometimes not so much. But I'm telling everybody, you have to remember something. A lot of times, if people don't react the way you'd like them to, it's really got nothing to do with you. And that's hard for me sometimes because I'm thinking, oh, I shouldn't have said that, done that. It's not my fault. It really isn't my fault. And it's not your fault either if you're on the other end of that. It's something the other person is going through. That's what I believe.
Well, you don't want to be the trick, and I think talking about, or I mentioned negative things, but they're not negative. How you respond is what changes a negative to a positive.
Right.
So if you're going to get caught up in the negative, well, guess what? Shame on you. You got caught in the trap. I'm thinking about something that actually happened recently, and
To you?
to me, and it was a simple thing, and it had to do with communication, and the communication ship, in my mind, had already sailed. But the conversation, or the, I don't want to call it an attack because it wasn't. I could have viewed it as an attack or something that would put me on the defensive. But we try to change the names to protect the innocent. So if you know us personally, you might guess who we're talking about, but not all of you know us that well. And those of you that do, if you recognize it, well, you should be glad that we care enough to talk about it.
Like you said, we're human beings that go through our own experiences, and we know I know for me, when somebody shares an experience with me, sometimes they can help me get through it and see a different perspective. And that's basically why I do this show, why you're here every week. We're trying to make a difference, even if it's in the life of one person. We've done something positive in the world, and I, for one, at my age in life, my life is an open book. I'm a survivor of many things, and I want to explain to people how I got through that, and let them know it can be done. You could survive almost anything.
in this particular example, I was called out on communication, and the just the relevant part was the statement was, you see, it all goes back to
Ugh.
you communicating. So really, I thought to myself, normally that would start an unhealthy debate. Um, and I really thought about it, and I said, you know what? There's a trap. Don't fall into it. And I don't think it was intentional. I think that we have been conditioned, or many of us have been conditioned to react, not respond, because responding means being responsive. We've been taught to react because we're put on the defensive, and that's where the tit for tat starts. It's, what do you mean I'm not communicating with you? Or it's about, what about you communicating with me? And then all of a sudden we forget what the issue is, and you go down that rabbit hole when really, I'll tell you what my response was simply, I'm sorry.
And
You're right.
that was a good response, actually.
And I don't want to get in that. I said, I don't want to fight. I don't want to battle anymore. If I can't have a productive conversation with you, whoever you are, I probably am going to disengage and walk away, maybe wait, or I'm going to respond just like that. I'm not going to take the bait. I'm not going to be trapped into a negative conversation. Whereas if I think about and you're aware of what's going on, the response, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I truly am. So I'm not avoiding anything. I'm being responsive. I think about it. You know what? I am sorry that you feel that way. You may be right. And
But at least
I'll
you
try to
didn't.
get better.
At least you didn't dismiss them, and that's when someone dismisses your feelings. Oh boy, that's that's trouble. And you didn't dismiss their feelings
No,
by,
and I don't,
by
I don't,
saying I'm sorry.
I don't want to, because, and I guess that's what the conversation today is about. What do you do when you're faced with negative things, and how do you get through them? It's amazing where your strength and the support comes from. You have. I'll tell you, I got support in the last couple weeks from the most unexpected place you would ever imagine. Somebody I've known for years and years and years, really stepped up and gave me physical and emotional support the last couple weeks that made me feel good about myself. And, you think, I'm a great listener, and, I got my crap together. I'm a work in progress, just like everybody else. And in fact, unlike most people, my process has been a lot longer, or my progress has taken a lot longer than I would have hoped or I would have liked. But at the end of the day, when you find, and you're going down that dark alleyway, and all of a sudden, at the end of the alleyway, a door opens, and there's somebody there to say, hey man, it's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. I got you. And that's really important. It's who you surround yourself with.
It's true, because when you're constantly there for everybody else, that moment comes when you need somebody, and oftentimes not. You see kind of the true colors of some people. They don't have time. It's a quick phone call, turns into their own conversation. I'm always surprised, too, by the people that, like even when I went through breast cancer, the people I thought would have been there weren't. And that's okay. I didn't resent them. No negative feelings. It's wish them love and light. That's the end of it. But some people really came out of the woodwork that I was so surprised and felt better about humanity, that there are other people, such as myself, that will step up to the plate to help out another human being. And a lot of them didn't know me super well. I've gotten to know them better through the breast cancer and through a lot of experiences I've gone through. You know, it's, what's it saying? You know, you always find out who your true friends are. In the end, it's when you're going through something, it's the true friend that doesn't judge you, that listens, that, you know, and it's just there for you. And it's a great feeling, even though you know you could be driving them crazy, frustrating them. They're still there for you in a positive way, and it's a very nice surprise actually when that happens.
If you want to engage with, or if you want to wash the negative away, that's how you do it. You stop, you take a breath. It doesn't have to be 10 breaths, but, you know, metered rhythmic breathing so that you're able to think and appreciate, compartmentalize and appreciate what's important and what's really not that important. I have a particular friend in mind who really did a lot for me the last couple of weeks, and he's got his own stuff going on. You know, you're not talking about a guy who's like carefree and doesn't have a worry in the world. Sometimes we sit around and talk and we just laugh because it's so ridiculous. Some of the things we've experienced in the last couple of years, even, and when you realize what's going on in their lives and how they take the time out to support you, and really help you get through difficult times, you appreciate them more because, I mean, I remember the last couple of weeks thinking to myself, wow, that's kind of amazing.
It gives you hope in humanity again.
It really
It's
really
hope in
does.
humanity that there are other people, like-minded people such as ourselves, and trying to do what we're trying to do, which is make the world a better place. And I think that's an awesome thing, to be honest. I do.
It really is. And you know, like I said, you don't want to get trapped. It's so easy to get trapped by negative thoughts and unproductive dialogue.
Oh, that is the worst, where nothing goes anywhere and there's no resolution. I don't like that.
And it's
I don't like that.
It's a waste of time, and time is precious, right? Time is finite for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Time is infinite in and of itself, but for humans, animals, the time we have, the clock is always ticking. We have one big giant. What was that? Soap opera with a
Days of our lives,
Days of our
like
lives.
sand in the hourglass.
Like
These
sand
are
in the
these are the
hourglass.
days of our lives. But it's true, and you know, it's. I would rather live a positive life and surround myself. I mean, it's been a crazy, like I said, a crazy couple weeks for everybody. And just to bring this to light, because we're talking about time is precious. For Mother's Day, my youngest son, Sam, who's 17, came home a few days before it and had always wanted to get matching tattoos with me. And I thought, okay, I never, even at this stage of my life, never have had one. So on the Friday before Mother's Day, he comes walking in and he says, I drew like 30 different pictures. I've come up with the perfect tattoo for you and I. All the moms that work at the school looked at it. They loved it. It's great. He shows it to me and says, it's the sun and the moon, because I'm your sun, you're my moon, and I'm a reflection of you. So all I could answer was, when do we go? So the funny thing is, we go on Mother's Day, and the guys were laughing at me. They're like, lady, you've gone through breast cancer and everything else, and you're worried about a little tattoo. Yes, I was. And Sam finally said, if you're really that scared and you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But just remember, once you do it, it's going to be on you for the rest of your life. And that struck me, because I said to Sam, I'm on the rest of my life right now. And everything got put into perspective a little bit different just from that, realizing that. Because sometimes it's scary when you realize how old you are, and yeah, the clock is ticking.
That's a good. That's a pretty profound statement. You're on the rest of your life.
This is the rest. I always call it
We're-
the last hurrah. This is it. When you get to a certain age, no, I'm not planning on going anywhere tomorrow or in the next 10 or 20 years. But when you look at, we're in our 50s, yeah. I mean, this is crunch time. Do everything you want to do. Go after those dreams. Do everything you want to do, because all this negative crap, all this BS, but and blame stops you from doing that. It stops me in my tracks because I don't like to handle it. I don't like it at all. And that's negative to say, but I don't like it because I've been a survivor of so many things by having a positive attitude going through them. Yeah, they were upsetting at the time, but I never let myself sit in that negativity for so long because I knew stress doesn't change anything. It's not going to fix the problem, not by a long shot. And you
No, it exacerbates it.
and worry, you're worried about something unless you can change it or you have control over it. What are you worrying about?
You really have control over a lot more than you think. And as profound as I think you're on the rest of your life now, we're on the rest of our life from the day we're born.
Mm-hmm.
We don't appreciate it
Till we're older.
until we've survived. When you survive one thing, two things, three things, doesn't matter what it is, but if you survive something, that means that your life, or the life as you know it, was at one time or at some point in danger. Once you've been through experiences like that, time becomes more important, and or the lack of time, or the time you have left, becomes more important. So once you realize that, then you either ignore it and just go on through life with blinders and hope for the best, or you try to live your best life. Surviving is not living your best life.
No, it's not.
Surviving is a battle that you won. Now that you've won,
What next?
now what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I think about, I don't have to change the name. I'm thinking about Jerry Boa. Jerry Boa, I met at a place called the Green Parrot. He was a bouncer.
I know that place well from back in the day.
He, through the magic of Facebook, we connected a few years back. And he's, asked if I was Jonathan Luz from Wall or New Jersey. And I just responded back, Jerry, how many Jonathan Luzes do you know from New Jersey? Because I don't know any.
It's such a common name.
Yeah.
Jonathan's not even that common, really.
Not when you're my age. Younger, I know younger people that are named Jonathan now. I'm proud of it. But here's the point with Jerry. Jerry, his comment was, I loved, talking with you, our life talks. Imagine me having life talks with somebody when I'm 23. Don't get in a conversation with me now.
No, don't.
Yeah, it's scary. They're going for hours.
They do.
What I remember about Jerry is that when he laughed, his laugh was almost a giggle. He's an adult with a laugh like a child. You ever hear a child, an infant, just start giggling?
It's contagious. It's contagious.
As an adult, he had this laugh. He was always willing to extend himself for others, his friends, his family. Now, I believe he was a couple years younger than me. But what day was Mother's Day?
Sunday.
Date?
Um,
12th?
12th. 12th.
He died on the 12th.
Really?
He had a heart attack and died.
Just the other day?
Yep. I just saw it. I just happened to see it. I just happened to see it this morning.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry to hear that.
And he has, it was his sister. He had a sister. He has a sister who posted it. That was, I don't think I ever met her. Her name was Victoria. But I know she was an important part of his life because if you said something about his sister, he was ready to fight you. And that was a whole nother part of him. But he was a really kind-hearted person, but he was young. And it was unexpected. It wasn't like he was suffering a long illness. He had some health issues over the years, but he had a heart attack and died. The lesson from that, and here's another part of going through negative things and surviving, is what lessons did you learn? If you take away a lesson from anything that you survived, well, then it wasn't in vain. Now, all of a sudden, whatever negative thing it was had become a positive. And that's when you're feeling overwhelmed. We've said before, sometimes when you're overwhelmed, if you're overwhelmed with negative, you're drowning.
Mm-hmm.
If you're overwhelmed with positive, you're being uplifted and you're flying.
That's true.
Have you ever had a dream, or have you ever dreamt that you were flying? I've had those dreams. They're amazing. You wake up feeling good. You actually want to go back to sleep because you want to fly some more. And I don't know if there's a clinical term for it, and I really don't care. But if I can fall asleep and fly, I would much rather have that experience than being overwhelmed and drowning by the negative.
See, and this is where, again, I say about myself, I'm a simple girl. I don't understand negative stuff. I don't understand negative behavior. And believe me, I've seen it. I've been negative on occasion in my life. I've just learned that nothing good comes of it, like absolutely nothing. That's where anxiety kicks up and depression falls into place. There's a lot of negative things that happen, but it's just, we talk about conversations. We've talked about kindness and mean people and people that, the tit for tat and this and that. And I'm thinking, why does that have to be? Why does that have to exist? Why can't everybody really just get along? We're not always going to agree, and you could say something to me you might make a statement about me or something I'm doing. If I don't believe it to be true, I'm going to say to you, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't see what you're saying. I don't feel it that way. A lot of times people take that as, oh, now you're on the defense. That's not, maybe you are a little bit, and then automatically this is not going to go into a good place because now I've been put in a position to feel defensive and guarded, and I don't want to be that way. So I think, why can't we all just work together at communication, communication with everybody even if it's someone you don't know well. It's like the key to everything, and it's just, I've been going through my own stuff lately, and it's really hard to, and I'm trying to help the people in my life get through their own stuff, and it's like what you said, and we say it all the time, take a breath, just hang on, because it's not going to be like this forever. It just might be like this today. We're all going to have a pity party day once in a while, a day where you're tired, you just can't handle anything, you don't want to handle anything. That's okay as long as you don't sit there for the rest of your life. Take the day off. Maybe you're tired, you had a bad day, it's okay. And I'm here to tell you it's okay because I do it myself. We talked about the other day, I just wrote a story about it's okay to be quiet because it's in those moments of quiet that we can hear our heart speaking to us. We can hear our intuition. We if you don't feel like talking to people on the phone one day, shut it off. Who cares? If they're really your friends, they'll understand, or send them a text, taking the day off from the world. If you don't want to look at social media or read your emails, shut down your laptop. If you're not really in the mood to watch TV, don't waste your time watching mindless shows. Just be. Listen to nature. Get out in the sun. I mean, well, for I don't know how far everybody's listening today, but we have had no sun in this state for what, a week now?
It seemed like a month,
In
but
fact,
it was about 5 days.
our local newspaper put something in it yesterday that said, attention, don't be afraid, that yellow ball you see in the sky is the sun, because we truly hadn't seen it. I got up in the morning and I was like, ugh, what, the bedroom's so bright. It woke me up and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's bright. You know, I ran out. It was the sun. I had my coffee outside, and I wrote a post about it that all I could hear was Bob Marley in my head singing Three Little Birds. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing's going to be all right. And that's part of what we wanted to say in this show today. With everybody going through so much, it is going to be okay. Might not be exactly what you want today. But like I said to someone the other day, they're having a bad day and a bad night. I said, at least it's a day. A lot of people don't get that bad day or that bad night. Switch your thinking on it. Yep, you had a bad day. It's all you could do to get through it. You're hanging on by a thread. Sit down, relax, breathe, and let it go. You had another day. A lot of people don't get that privilege. That's a gift. Every day I wake up, no matter what's going on in my life, is a gift. That's why people say to me, "Oh, you're having a sad day," or "This is a." So what? I'm still always happy. I'm happy every morning I get up.
If you have too many sad days in a row, you're doing it wrong.
Hmm.
It's really that simple.
That's a good point. I
you-
like that. That's
you-
a good point.
You may need help. But I'm thinking about people that I know that have gone through some real stuff. We say everybody's got stuff.
Hmm.
I know people that have gone real stuff with their children, with their spouses, with relatives, with friends. But I rarely see them be negative. And I'm thinking about more than one person right now. I'm thinking about all kinds of people that I know. That do they allow themselves? I don't even think they allow it. I think they get frustrated when they feel themselves being dragged in or being trapped.
Hmm.
Will they talk about it? Yeah. Every once in a while, I've gotten that phone call from the Midwest or from around the corner where somebody just wants to talk.
I've had that too in the last couple of weeks.
And they talk about the stuff that's bothering them. Stuff that they're worried about, whether it's their children, whether it's their house,
Their job.
their
be
job.
anything.
And, do they, a lot of people stick with something that's not necessarily healthy for them because of certain obligations. But they man up or woman up and they deal with it. And they don't have many negative days. They might have a day where they need to talk. And it's not even a whole day.
No.
It's a couple hours. And then they're right back to, okay, let's go get them.
And sometimes I find, for me personally, if I can't figure something out or a feeling or an emotion and I talk to somebody, I sometimes figure it right out why I'm talking. So it's good. It's always good to get it off your chest. And sometimes I find I'll be talking to a girlfriend or something like, oh my gosh, I just figured it out. Thanks for letting me talk. I figured it out. They don't even have to give me advice. They gave me a listening ear. They gave me their time. They didn't give me their judgment. They gave me their empathy. And I think when we're in that vulnerable, safe space with somebody, we do figure it out because we're safe to figure it out. We can go through, I don't know if it's this, maybe it's that, maybe I shouldn't have done this, maybe I should have done that. And then bam, light bulb comes on. Now I know what it is. And I'm grateful for those kinds of conversations where I can figure it out on my own.
We get caught up in negative things or negative stuff.
Don't you get tired of that?
Yeah, but it's our own fault because we're surrounded by people who either we allow them to surround us and they don't have the same value system that we think we have.
Right.
So we make an exception. So you make an exception. Like people who go on a rant. I've been known to rant.
Well, we all can. I call it venting.
Venting.
Men rant, women vent.
Okay.
It's true. It's
I
true.
got nothing.
It's true.
But
I just made that up. See, I figured something out.
see, you never know. When when you make an exception to a value that you've known your whole life. Okay. I don't know why you made the exception, but there's an exception in every rule, right? When the exception becomes the rule, that's when the negativity creeps in.
Mm-hmm.
Because you allowed it.
See, and I believe everything, you can make something complicated or keep it simple. And I don't care what it is.
Negative is complicated.
It's very complicated. My gosh, it takes so much more energy to have, negative thoughts, negative behavior, negative. It really annoys me sometimes because I am a very positive girl, and I don't complain a lot about my life. Yes, I've had many experiences. I can say I survived. I do not like being called a victim because I never was a victim. I survived what was given to me, and I do not like being called a victim. That's for certain. And I just don't understand. I see some people that some of the things they're so negative about are even not even massive things. They just, maybe it's a misery likes company. Maybe they never met anybody to show them a different perspective, a different way to live their best life instead of just living it every day. We all, let's face it, we probably all known that one complainer that every day you talk to them. It was not. It's like when Charlie Holder many years ago would talk to me and say, okay, you just vented. Now what's going on good today? What happened good? Did you have hot coffee this morning? How are the kids? And I think I learned a lot from that man. God rest his soul. I did, because he was just, I knew he had a tumultuous life. He didn't have it easy, but he kept it simple. He kept it simple and as positive as he could.
He did keep it
That's
positive.
for you. That's for you, Charlie. That's for you.
He did keep it positive.
He did.
I don't know if he was certainly not a simple person, but he did keep it positive, and he always looked for the good in others. He didn't always look for the good in himself, but he looked for the good in others.
He did.
When I was thinking about opinions.
Oh boy.
And everybody's got one. If you ever heard the expression, if I want your opinion, I'll ask you for it. And I always thought that was kind of offensive and negative, right? Then I thought, wait a minute. How many times have I forced my opinion on somebody else? How do you force your opinion on somebody else? You talk louder and faster, and you talk over them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not listening.
You're talking at them is what you're doing.
To try to shout from the rooftops what you believe is right, when, if you think about it, well, they didn't really ask you for your opinion. Why are you sharing it? So I've been a little bit more reserved publicly about my opinions on things. Doesn't mean I've had friends call me and text me like, are you okay? Because you're not a raving lunatic. I can be a raving lunatic. I didn't forget how to be a raving lunatic. I just chose not to be a raving lunatic because after many years of making exceptions, the exception became the rule. And it costs. There's costs, emotional costs associated with that. And when I think about the people the people who have had the greatest positive influence over me have been reserved, um, been entertained sometimes, um, but in the end, they're the ones that call up and ask how you're doing when they haven't heard from you, and give you that positive energy and that positive support that you need, because that's how you live your best life. You don't live your best life by dwelling on negative. You live your best life by diluting the negative with positive, which means there are no buts, which means, look, buts are appropriate. We said that, but like that was an appropriate butt. But I love you, but is wrong.
Yes, it is wrong.
I'm sorry, but
Wrong.
wrong again. I hurt you. I'm sorry I hurt you, but you hurt me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you, so it was justified? It's not. And that's what I mean by diluting the negative.
And that's, you're talking about opinions or stuff. I try opinions can come across, especially when you don't ask someone's opinion, it comes across as a judgment. To me, it does.
It absolutely is.
And I will say to somebody else, if I'm in a conversation, I usually ask, do you want my opinion or what I think? And if they say yes, okay, I'll tell them. I do it in a love and light, positive way. It's something I pay attention to people. And this is one of the things I was thinking on the drive here to the station today, is that so many people pay more attention to knowing the people in their life than they do to themselves. And I think it's so important to know yourself like the back of your hand. You have to know who you are. I mean, I can come out with the list and say, I know my shortcomings. I know my strong parts. I know my strengths, my weaknesses. I know I can be a little bit undecisive at times. I know all those things, but I've taken much of my life to really know myself. And I think that's how you can learn to be positive, too. You know yourself, and then, in turn, you really pay attention to the people around you and knowing them. That's why if someone, I'll say, do you want my opinion? They know it's coming from a good place from me, and it's not going to be a judgment. You've asked, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, I'm just judgmental.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I think, so you know yourself, and you've come to grips with certain things in your life, and what it really takes is you have to admit to yourself, honestly and openly,
right,
that you made some poor choices. And when I say poor choices, I'm not talking about necessarily, fork in the road choices.
That's how we learn from making poor choices at times. I think we make less of them as we get older because we've taken the time to know ourselves and learn the lessons along the way, that if they crop up again, we see them a little sooner. It doesn't take us as long to see, oh gosh, I made that mistake again, or I shouldn't have done that, or I should have known better.
Yeah, but we still did it.
Yeah.
That's I guess the trick is when you can actually recognize the road you're going down and saying, whoop, I've been down this road before. Better turn around now before it's too late. That's, I guess, when you're really smart, and I'm not there, but that's what you're working towards. You want to work towards that goal of being self-fulfilled, remembering what your purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
Your purpose can change with life.
I believe it does throughout your life. The purpose you had in your 20s is much different when you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s.
But you make adjustments. You make adjustments for that, and as your long-term goals change. And you have to be focused on that. When you sacrifice your purpose and yourself for someone or something else, and you compromise, therein lies the danger
Hmm.
of making an exception that becomes the rule, and you can be overwhelmed. Look, if you made an exception and you sacrificed yourself and your purpose
Hmm.
for something that's totally positive and benefits you in every single aspect of your life, well, this conversation would not be necessary. Um, it's when you decide, for whatever reason, to put aside yourself for something or someone that is not compatible with your original purpose and your original plan, well, then you've sacrificed yourself. It's no longer, you're not being selfless anymore.
No, and I just wrote that quote in an article this week. Don't be afraid of losing someone by standing in your truth. Be afraid of losing yourself if you don't. And that's what happens sometimes. We're so busy doing everything else that we hold back our truth a little bit.
No, we're afraid.
Well, yeah, we are afraid of losing somebody out of our life. And it's a fear I've been working on, a fear I uncovered within myself that didn't even know I had it most of my life. It's why I'm probably the word girl. I choose my words carefully. I don't want to hurt somebody's feeling. I don't care if it's my significant other, my kids, my family, my friends. It doesn't matter. I'll be open and honest with it, but sometimes I don't want to have a confrontation or say something that might hurt their feelings or make them angry because, oh my God, they might turn around and leave my life. Well, I understood in the last week that if they do that, they're kind of telling me exactly where I stand with them. I don't think, if I value them that much to be afraid of losing them, they obviously don't value me that much back that I can't say what I need to say, and can save yourself a lot of time and trouble. So, and I did write about it this week. I'm a work in progress too, and it is somewhat of a fear. And I'm thinking, why are you afraid of losing somebody? You know, you shouldn't be afraid of losing them. It should be, or sometimes I like to say they should be more afraid of losing you. There shouldn't be any fear in any kind of relationship you have. It should be a safety net. All the positive things. Fear is not positive. Living fearful of anything is not positive. It's not. Nothing good's going to come out of it. And you're talking about the other things. We're talking about, you're saying opinions, and I'm going, how do we get there? A series of unfortunate events and opinions and judgments. That's how we get to certain places. And, I was talking this week about taking the right path and the wrong path. The right path is recovery, healing, and survival. Wrong path was the one of repeating the same patterns, the same mistakes, and the one which gave another chance to remember the life lessons you had forgotten. So even when I say wrong path, I don't even mean that's a wrong path. I mean you were meant to go down that wrong path, make those decisions again because you needed the reminder that you learned that a long time ago and remember the lesson.
You pay for those lessons, unfortunately. There's no, and that goes back to the fear of not standing in your truth, for fear that you're going to lose something or someone. When the reality is, if that's the case, and there's a real danger of losing something or someone, and being untrue, or as opposed to being untrue to yourself, well, you've already made the wrong choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because being untrue to yourself, and that's scary too. Hopefully, being true to yourself is a truth based on core values and humanity, and just respect for others, whether they agree with you or not. Judgments we're nobody's judge. My opinion, maybe I don't disagree with you, or I may disagree with you.
And that's okay. Agree to disagree. Be, you know, if you're
That
gonna
doesn't make you a bad person.
no, it doesn't. I
I'm
think
not judging you as a person,
you know, I don't mind hearing a difference of opinion with
although
somebody.
I have.
But you know, not everybody agrees with me, and I don't get mad at them that they don't. I just my greatest wish is that they'll at least see my side of it and not tell me I'm wrong, because nobody's wrong. I raised 5 kids telling them your feelings are not wrong, and if you're having a negative feeling or if you're feeling something, talk to the person about it. If it's something I did, tell me about it, because my intent isn't to hurt anybody in this planet. No way. I'm not a girl that would do that. I've been down that road most of my life where I've been the doormat and the one hurt and the one going through. So I'm so careful never to make another human being feel like I was made throughout my life, which is why I get on such a tear on this show. Just be nice, be kind. Life's getting short. And even if you're in your 20s and 30s, it's going away. Don't you want to make a good impact on the world, on the people around you, on your family, your friends, your children, your spouse, your significant other? I mean, it's time, don't you think? What are you waiting for, the last day of your life, to say, well, I think I'll be kind today?
It might be too late
Ugh.
by then.
Sometimes it is. You know, that's why I say they talk about everything can be repairable within time. And that's why we talked about earlier. Don't let the elephant sit in the room too long. You have an apology to make. You better make it soon, because all that negative stuff is just hanging in, floating on, and sitting there, chipping away at your heart, chipping away at your spirit and your soul. Nothing good comes out of it. And I just think, like I said last week, do it today. You want to change yourself today. You want to go home and say you're sorry to somebody, or say this has to be done, that has to be done. Take a good look at yourself, because everything you want in this world is within you. It's right within your reach. But you have to do the work, and you have to take your accountability. You have to know yourself, know what's best for you. Nobody else can tell you that.
If you had a choice, or you don't have a choice, today is your last day, or let's be nice, you have tomorrow is your last day, so you have a little while to plan.
Right. What are you going to do today?
Do you want to have a bad day, or do you want to have a good day?
And listen, we're not saying live in la la land every day, because that's not life. There are some days that are not as good as the day before. Let's put it that way. And maybe we should switch it up. I didn't have a bad day. I just had a day that was not as good as I had wanted it to be. Tomorrow's another chance to do it better.
That was
Well, we do that.
that was a show a few weeks ago, where we said, if you're not living your best life, well, you are. You may have lived a better life yesterday, and you may have a better life tomorrow, or live a better life tomorrow. But whatever you're doing today is your best life today.
Mm-hmm.
Should you be satisfied with it? That depends. If it's a really bad day, I wouldn't be satisfied with it. It'd be nice if we could change it in the middle of the day when we see it going
sideways.
Going sideways. If you could turn it around and finish out the day strong. What's the saying? Champions finish strong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you can finish out the day strong, then you've kind of turned it around. But if you know that you had one day left, would you gather up, or would you spend a little time reflecting on your life? I would think it's natural. I mean, I'm not even making this up. It was a movie. It's called It's a Wonderful Life.
That's right.
Yeah. Where somebody had the opportunity with George Bailey was given a great gift
to see what life was like without him.
And he came away with a gratitude and an appreciation for the life that he has. And it's not easy.
And it's not just George Bailey either. It's a good analogy to bring up. It's every one of us. Sometimes I look, if I wasn't here, well, 5 really amazing human beings wouldn't be here either. And, those of them that have significant others, those significant others would never be with them. I mean, you can go right back in your life. I don't like to dwell on that, but I look in a positive way. I'm here for a reason. Everybody is here for a reason. And there's a sadness if you don't understand your importance in the world and in your own life. You're important. Everybody's important. Doesn't matter what you're doing, rich, famous, plugging away, doing what you have to do. Everybody is important.
Every
life has made a difference. No matter how old you are, your life has made a difference up until now. And you're going to make a difference tomorrow in another life. And the day after that, whether it's with your family, your significant other, even your job, showing up for your job tomorrow. If you don't show up, everybody, it knocks the office out of whack.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We are tied together, and we're interdependent on one another.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. Nobody, if you go to the gas station and the gas station is closed, you're not getting any gas.
That's right.
And there's not really anything you can do about it. You need the gas station to be open, or you're walking. And let's face it, our lives were not, especially in this state, were not meant to walk for extended periods of time. We walk for pleasure. We walk for exercise, for our health.
Mm-hmm.
But not many of us walk to work. Now, those of us who may walk to work have, built a house right next door to our job so we could walk to work, but that's not generally the case. The point is, the wealthiest and the poorest need each other for a myriad of reasons. And we show our appreciation for life by placing value on everybody. Everybody has value. When you look at humankind that way, that everybody has value, then you're going to appreciate life more. You're going to appreciate and take away more positive, than negative. And your life is going to have so much more promise. And really, the promise of tomorrow is a really fragile thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know if it's going to be there.
No, we don't.
But if we get there, we should treat it with respect and gratitude and appreciation. And we show how much we value it by staying positive, by helping one another, which is really important. And helping one another doesn't have to be, it can be as simple as holding the door open for somebody.
Yeah, and it's not a full-time job helping one another.
And just being kind.
Mm-hmm.
And being kind-hearted.
Kind, compassionate, respectful, empathetic at times.
When kindness becomes second nature, then all those positive things that we seek will come to us, and they become second nature because they're part of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've made exceptions and allowed negative into our life, and those who nip it in the bud are happier. Those who continue down that path and continue to make exceptions are going to have a more and more difficult time getting out of it.
True.
And that's really, I guess the focus of a day after a week of uncertainty and turmoil and negativity. This is how we turn it around and make it positive. By appreciating those who have extended themselves in our behalf, and by extending ourselves and paying it forward to others. That's how you maintain a positive attitude. Our lives are not rainbows and unicorns.
No, but you're right about that. The more good you put out in the world, we know how good that feels. It's that's almost like grabbing even more positivity into your life because you've put so much out there by being kind and everything else. It feels good to do something for somebody else. It really does.
When you're consumed by negative, it absolutely does. Because when you're consumed by the negative,
That's self-sabotaging.
and you withdraw, you and you can withdraw into a really dark place, a dark, depressed place, and that's really what you want to avoid because now you're really endangering your own health and your own mental health.
Do you want to read Nadine's last comment? I like that. Hi, Nadine and Jackie.
Even if a person you come in contact, even if a person you come in contact with that is unkind, speaking or acting unkind, more bees with honey, throw some kind words, and they will be in awe. Drop jaw, those were shared with them. These words were shared with them.
It's true. Most times, because I've run into that over the years. Someone will look at you and be like, I've just been rotten to you. How are you? What are you doing? They almost get mad at you for being nice to them and in kind.
Some some people get angry when you're kind.
They do because they're looking for a fight because some people are so negative. They don't want you to be kind. They don't. That, like I said, I can't say it enough to all of you. That's their issues. That's their problem. If they don't want to be that way, they've got some stuff they got to work on, and that's their choice if they want to work on it or not. Some people just want to fight, have an argument, pick at things. They're negative. And I feel very badly for them because it is just such an unhealthy way to live. And this world could so easily be changed if everybody shared their differences without judgment and opinion, were kind to one another, tried to understand one another. If everybody could congeal all those positive things, knowing that we're not perfect, you're going to have a little slip up here and there. But gosh, can you imagine the world? I keep hearing John Lennon in my head now singing Imagine.
You just made me think of something that went out of my head.
That's a
Went out of
good
my
thing.
head.
I'm good at that.
No, it was.
Well, that's why I was saying earlier, I'm the optimist. And I don't know if it always serves me well to be the optimist, but I will always believe the best in somebody. Well, should I put it that way or say, I'll be optimistic that anybody can change. I will, but they have to want to because I know how much I've changed over the years. I've never been a really nasty person or anything. I think I've gotten better with age. I've had a lot of good spiritual teachers. I've gone through a lot in life. And my decision was, we were talking earlier about the path you take. My decision was to stay positive, even with breast cancer. And believe me, that's not easy for anyone that's gone through any kind of illness, and I thought, it's your mindset to be positive. What else was I going to do? I knew that, talking to my nurses up there, they said they could almost tell the women that wouldn't make it because they were researching all the negative side effects of this and that. I wouldn't look at any. I really didn't want to. I'm very glad I didn't because I didn't really have any.
What I was thinking, and you just reminded me of it, is to avoid unnecessary comments or unnecessary words that are designed to hurt. They're mean-spirited. They serve no good purpose. And I think that's important.
I got news for you, people. Once you say them, you can't take them back.
No, you
It's
can't.
done. The damage is done. Now, how you handle the repair on that is up to you. And that's where the accountability comes in. But
Well, the words can so easily escalate, and
they sure can.
that's where it's really important to choose your words carefully.
Or walk away.
You're right.
Rather than saying it, walk away. If you can control your mouth and what comes out of it. So if you feel like you're going to say something that you don't mean, or you just are in a bad mood, I would urge you, walk away before you say it, because that poor person on the other end that loves you and cares about you, or, that child, that parent, that family, that somebody, you're going to really hurt them. And they didn't deserve it just because things didn't go your way or you were having a rough day. And it goes for your kids included. It goes for everybody, even in the workplace.
But those are
That's the negative stuff. Walk away or think long and hard before you say them. And don't get mad at the person you said those to. If they can't get past them for a little while, that's up to you to help with the healing of that. It really is.
or eliminate it from your life.
You do the damage, you do the crime, you do the time. And it's not that anybody's punishing you. Somebody's heart was hurt. Somebody's spirit was bumped and bruised. And it happens. I'm sure I've done that at some point in my life as well. Never intentionally, never ever intentionally. And boy, if I did, within seconds, if not a couple minutes, I would be right there saying, I didn't mean that, or I'm sorry if that hurt you, you took it the wrong way. Time is of the essence when you say the words that you didn't mean. And like I say, I've told my kids that, be careful what you say, because they're going to hang the rest of your life. I can still remember things as a child. My mom, like, yelling or something. I can still remember if she yelled at me for something, and it was not nice, and I didn't like it, and it really hurt me. At my age, to remember that far back, that's proof that words stick in your head.
Oh, I did.
They can break a oh, here we go on this tangent. I don't want to stay on this too long. If you care about people, and even if you care about the human race at all, why would you want to hurt somebody? I don't get it.
It's a value. It's a screwed up value system where people have forgotten just basic consideration. Please, thank you. Excuse me. You're welcome. I'm sorry. Not I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Concern. Just basic things. We're so often caught up in our own emotions and our own hurt and our own pain that we don't take the time to consider anybody else. And when there's a clash, when somebody who's in pain meets somebody else who's in pain, it's a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So individually, we have to take responsibility for our own actions.
Right.
We can't accept responsibility for others unless you can only take responsibility for the good.
Everything begins with you, and I don't care how old you are. If you're using the wrong words or anything, there's no shame in saying, I don't know why I'm like this. Okay, then go figure it out. Go seek out somebody that can help you figure out why you're feeling a certain way or acting a certain way. There's no shame in that. Don't you want to live your best life and be your best sense of self? Because just you, that one person, each person in this world is a George Bailey. They can have the most amazing impact on another human being, another life, the entire world. It's amazing what you can do. And I sometimes think nobody looks at the big picture. We get caught up in our own little life, in our head, that it's only happening to me. It surely isn't anybody else. Well, that's not true. It's not true. We're all connected in this world one way or another. And I think, don't you want to just, when you leave this world, leave that you made a positive impact on somebody, that people are going to stand up and talk about you and just say what a loving, caring, kind person you were. And, I just think there's no room for that negative stuff. You're really killing yourselves doing that. You are. And I feel bad for people that are locked into that negativity trap, that rabbit hole. I do. I have a lot of empathy for them. I'd be the first person you need some help to talk you through or to tell you what, if you want it, what my opinion would be to help you through. I'm your girl. But you have to know yourself and you have to come clean with that and ask.
Everybody's got to take responsibility for themselves
Yeah. But
before you can be responsible for anybody else.
I think we're going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes. We went a little late today. But yeah, it's so important. That's why I started opening this show now with asking how all of you are, because it shows concern. We don't actually see the whole time. We don't know who's listening or who listens to afterwards unless you comment on it. But I certainly hope somebody's listening that smiled a little bit today and kind of shook their head and thought, they're right. I shouldn't have, I should, maybe I need to do this. And you know what? I'm going to make today my best day, right from this moment on. And if no one's telling you that you're important or you're amazing or you belong here, I'll tell you that you are. Everybody is important. And I'm sure you are amazing. Just let yourself be that person.
If you want to be amazing, just be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to laugh, laugh. If you want to make other people smile,
do it.
Make other people smile.
It's true.
Have a positive impact on others, and you'll have a positive impact on your own life. And that will help you to live or continue to try to live your best life. When you stop trying, you're dying. And I'm not ready to die.
I'm not either. I got a lot more to do in this lifetime. I really do. There's a lot of things I want to do.
Every day that you spend not living your best life is, and look, don't panic, but you're not getting that day back.
No, it's gone.
So if you wake up in the morning and you don't have a plan, start planning. Because the clock is ticking. We just spent over an hour, and we could keep talking.
That's sweet. Thank you, Nadine and Michelle.
We do appreciate the comments.
We love when you guys pop in. That's why I have to lean over to look. But we love when you guys pop on with comments because it makes me happy. It makes me, think maybe we are on the right path. It's the right path for me right now. It's where I'm supposed to be.
I think if we, let me say it every week, not just here, but when we talk to each other, if just one person heard us and was encouraged a little bit by what they heard, and they realize that everybody's got stuff, and everybody goes through stuff. The key is to go through it and come out on the other side.
And you can.
A better person.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything is possible in this world. You'll come across situations that you might think, oh no, now what? Well, you know what? It's not going to last forever, maybe just the day. And I just think it's so important that we're there for one another and spread that kindness. And thank you again, Nadine. That's a very sweet comment she said to us.
Yes. Thank you, Nadine.
I appreciate you, Nadine, very much. So I appreciate all of you commenting down, Nadine, Michelle. Thank you for taking your time to listen, to hear what these two old people had to say today. Because we weren't quite sure where this was going today. We've been all over the place the last couple of days. Let's do this, let's do that. We just wanted to go, no matter what we do, we want it to go in the best possible direction for us and mainly for you. Hopefully today, made a difference, made you smile, but I can't say it enough. I am grateful every day for not just this radio show and Hamilton Radio and for Jonathan sitting here and Jamie, who's usually here. I'm grateful for all of you that follow my social media pages. I'm grateful for every like, every love, every wow. everybody that takes a moment to comment or private message me, that makes my day. It really, really does, because none of it's ever negative from any of you. Nothing. I can honestly say I've never had anybody speak anything negatively to me, and that's really cool.
It is. It is cool. And hopefully those of you will continue throughout today and your week and your life, focusing on the positive, minimizing the negative, recognizing the negative, and not falling into the negative trap. Because it's so easy to do.
Yeah, get out of the rabbit hole. Life is meant not to be down the rabbit hole, but right up on the surface.
Yeah, we just
Best analogy I could come up with.
enjoy.
Enjoy the journey. This too shall pass. Enjoy the journey. Make the most of your life.
They're just a few little bumps.
They are bumps. Don't turn them into mountains. They're bumps.
If you look at the mountain, you'll be discouraged. If you look at it as a bump,
Yeah.
or you just look at the bottom and you start chipping away, before you know it, it'll be gone.
Absolutely. And if it's not, there might be a really sweet hand that grabs yours to help you over the bump.
Yeah, and be grateful for it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the opportunity to help somebody else, take advantage of the opportunity. You're going to help yourself.
Listen, it's time to make a difference in this world and in the lives of others, and we can make that difference together. And I believe that with all my heart. I will believe that forever, and I will always keep believing that the world can change, and it can change in a short amount of time, one day at a time, one person at a time. Here we are, one show at a time, trying to change the world and the life of another, and it's a good thing. Now, do you think Doc is ready to close us out? We're listening to Doc chatter in the back room here. I'm going to close the show out today with my song, The Dreamer. I'm going to let you say your goodbyes.
How about I just say goodbye? I've talked enough. Thanks for listening.
Well, I don't want to say anything, but thanks for joining us today. It's been a great show, and thank you to Doc for letting us go over a little bit today. Appreciate you being here. And listen, don't just dream about a better life. Just go out and have one. Start right now. It's time for a better life. Live your best life and count your blessings that every day you're here, you're meant to be here. Don't take it for granted. Keep spreading the kindness, and we will see you next week. Doc, you got my song queued up. Doc? Do you want to knock on the door?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Yes. Well, we got the man behind the curtain. I hope you all enjoyed the show today. Okay, music's ready. We'll see you next week, everybody. Wishing you lots of love and light. Dreams come true. Keep spreading the kindness. And thanks for being in my life, and thanks for being here. I'm very grateful for all of it. Absolutely. And we will see you next week. Okay, Doc.
There is a dreamer who lives in a world of endless possibilities. spectator.